What do 8 bags of concrete mix, a cooler full of 30-pound sea bass, and a 10-inch compound miter saw have in common? They're all things that are easier to load in and out of the bed of the new F-150. Thanks to its new available Pro Access tailgate that's also a swing gate. The new 2024 Ford F-150. Tough this smart can only be called F-150.
Available starting early 2024. Pro Access tailgate available starting spring 2024. Cargo and load capacity limited by weight and weight distribution.
She was like, I like Jamie Foxx. I was like, word? All right. I'm gonna get tickets for that. So we did, was it Nokia Theater or whatever they call it now in LA? I paid an obscene amount of money for these tickets.
Wow.
Okay, we are like row 7 or 8 from the front. Like we are in there, and they're recording it. So this is the one that actually gets recorded that everyone watches. I might need security or something. Or
I think so.
One of those. Yeah, one of those. So we are in there, and it is a ball. We have a great time. I sent flowers to her job before the day
but
of.
You forgot. You skipped.
I know I'm skipping that
How
part. That
we
part's
even
not
got to
important.
that
That part's not important.
Because he stood me up.
I got baby mama drama. I told y'all.
He stood me up.
This the stuff of fairy tales and majesty, magically. Like I pulled you out of hat, pull you out of bag from out of mag if you want that. Pull up in the slab and pull off with you in my lap. Top down.
Welcome to Travel Tuesday Happy Hour, where we interview dope people doing dope things from around the world. And as y'all already know, I'm Paige of Atomic Travels, and y'all see this person still here with me.
I'm still here.
She's still here. So tell us who you are and what you're doing here.
I'm his fiance. I am his co-host for season 3 of Travel Tuesday Couples Goals.
Okay. And we have an amazing power couple with us today.
Mm-hmm.
Can y'all tell us who you are and where you're from?
Ladies first.
Absolutely. Alicia Harrison. And this is my amazing husband, Johannes Harrison. We're currently based out of the DFW area. Also have our own wealth management firm.
What's the DFW area?
Dallas-Fort Worth. You ain't get around.
I mean, I know DMV. I didn't know I didn't know that was a thing.
Dallas-Fort Worth.
So we're actually kind of like right in the middle between Dallas and Fort Worth. We're in Grand Prairie, so it's like right in the middle.
Right in the middle.
People know Grand Prairie. Don't worry about it. People know.
People know Grand Prairie. They know Cedar Hill. They know. I mean, there's.
All right, next time I'll keep that in mind. Grand Prairie. Grand Prairie.
It's all good. It's all good.
Y'all out here.
So are y'all originally from that area, or were you guys from originally, like individually?
Johannes didn't introduce himself.
Well,
she did the introduction. She said, "My beautiful husband." I think she said beautiful. Maybe she said handsome.
Yeah, something like that. I don't remember. I might bleep it out.
Rewind it back. She put a compliment.
Oh, she's sipping. So we know when she's all right. We got keyword. We got cues. So moving forward, right? Where are you guys from individually?
So I am from Charlotte, North Carolina, born and raised. I moved to Dallas when I was 20. So this is my second trip in Dallas, and then moved to Los Angeles when I was 24-ish. And then I met Alicia when I was 20-something-ish.
20-something.
2007. 27. I was 27. I was 27 when I met Alicia in California, which is where she's originally from, but she's also done her trip across the continental United States.
So tell us your journey back to Dallas.
Where you live? I know your story.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, for the most part, born and raised in California, then family migrated to Indiana, actually.
See, there we go.
For a few years. And then we made our way back to the West Coast. And it was definitely a culture shock coming from California, the melting pot, going to Indiana, where I went to a school. It was MLK Elementary, and they did not honor his birthday. So it was definitely an interesting.
They said we honor him in name only.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting.
Wow.
Experience. I was at the age of 9 years old. We had KKK spray painted on the side of our home. So yeah, we were a blended family. My mom's biracial. My stepfather was Black. And so we definitely were not welcome into that neighborhood. So we had some family issues and ended up migrating back to the West Coast, and eventually ended up in Las Vegas, Nevada. And then actually I was living in Vegas at the time that Johannes and I met. A girlfriend of mine, still located in California, said, you have to meet my photographer. He's so dope. You guys are meant to be.
And she said, you have to meet my friend.
Oh,
She's
wow.
so dope. Y'all were meant to be.
So this was a hookup.
We were set up from the jump.
We need to get both sides of this story because Johansson sounds like he's gonna give this grandiose experience. Let's get this real story. So continue with your story and
I show up to this photo shoot. My girlfriend says I have to meet a photographer. It's a passion of Johansson's. And the first day I met him, he had baby mama drama. Red flag. Red flag. He was late. I think you were like 2 hours late. You were stressed out. I was like, who are you trying to hook me up with?
Wait a minute.
This is being recorded.
And for the first time ever, your friend was on time.
She was on time.
Okay, so there's that.
We were on time. She was
excited. I really didn't know she was going to be there. Like there was this thing, I might bring my friend with me. I didn't know who was going to be.
Yeah, she didn't fully.
Oh, okay. So the first time it wasn't set up like a date. It was just
not
like
at all.
Hang out. Okay.
It was a setup. Like we didn't know neither one of us really knew what was going on or what she was intending to do. But we ended up having a good time. And that first year, for about a year, we kept in touch. I was still living in Las Vegas, and then I decided to relocate to California. And Johan's got the word. I don't know. You pick it up from here.
I said, don't you need help moving? She was like, nah, I got brothers.
Oh.
Okay.
She's like, this late guy ain't gonna hold me from getting there.
So, but I had one better.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I mean, you're hungry, right?
Oh, he got me with that one every time.
Every time.
I couldn't even boil water at the time. And so like, actually, I am hungry.
And I just kept taking her dinner or taking her to dinner.
Very persistent.
She played the hard to get though. Like
I had just relocated and I wasn't trying to get caught up.
Oh.
She made me put in
I was trying
work.
to be focused.
Let me tell you.
Hold up. She ain't do this yet.
She's good. That was coming up. I was about to read.
No, I'm gonna give you all the real scoop. No, I'm gonna give you all the real scoop. So she at the time, Jamie Foxx was doing his thing. So he was big. Okay.
This was a while ago.
Yeah, this is Jamie Foxx in his prime where he's doing his shows and he's singing, he's doing comedy, the whole, this is nominated for Ray, Jamie Foxx. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And she was like, I like Jamie Foxx. I was like, word? All right. I'm gonna get tickets for that. So we did, was it Nokia Theater or whatever they call it now in LA? I paid an obscene amount of money for these tickets.
Wow.
Okay. We are like row 7 or 8 from the front. Like we are in there and they're recording it. So this is the one that actually gets recorded that everyone watches. I might need security or something. Or
I think so.
One of those. Yeah, one of those. So we are in there and it is a ball. We have a great time. I sent flowers to her job before the date.
But you forgot. You skipped.
I know I'm skipping that part. That part's not important. That part's not important.
Because he stood me up.
I got baby mama drama. I told y'all.
He stood me up. And then to make it up, he sent the flowers and bought the tickets.
That's not the point.
And took me to the fancy show.
The point is, y'all.
Apparently it worked. I'm still here.
I didn't even get a kiss goodnight that night.
You stood her up though?
No, but that was just a regular dinner date. That wasn't Jamie.
The first time in my life.
It's hard to get. You mess up once.
You stood her up.
You gotta start all over again.
Right.
Yeah, but I went all out, and like at the end of the night, I'm like, okay, I'm at least gonna get a kiss on the cheek or something. I got the thanks for a great night.
She's remembering you were late during the photo shoot.
I mean,
with the baby mama drama.
Your score is not really high at this point.
Then you stood her up, right?
In the negative.
And it was still baby mama drama. She's holding on to that trauma of the baby mama drama.
Right.
But then after we went on the date, we started to hang out. I kind of let my guard down.
Nice.
And before I knew it, one day I literally just woke up and realized that I was madly in love and that he was the one. It was interesting awakening.
Yes, it was. I put in work, y'all. I was working. I got receipts.
Well, they said you hold out for the one. So I was holding out.
I got receipts.
Okay. So So your story tells us about how you guys travel domestically, right? Traveling to gain experiences. You've gained some unfortunate experiences at the same time, but then led you guys to each other, right? But prior to meeting each other, or maybe after, right? What inspired you both individually to travel in the first place?
Were you traveling before you started dating?
Oh yeah, we went to our first international trip was Jamaica.
No, that was right after we got.
No.
Individually.
Before you started dating, were you individually traveling before you started dating?
I wasn't.
We talked about relocation and moving.
I was 24 when I met Johan, so I was still kind of figuring out my life. So I really wasn't traveling.
Road warrior. Like my job had me. I took in my college years, I spent time all up and down the East Coast. So growing up in North Carolina, most families from that area have a lot of family either north in New York, New Jersey area, Connecticut, or they have family south, Georgia, Florida, et cetera. I had both. So I'd seen the entire East Coast by the time I was 10 years old.
Nice.
Now I only traveled internationally a couple of times prior to us meeting. The most time I ever spent out of the country was when we went to Jamaica, and then we also had a destination wedding. So we'll get to that later. So, but no, I traveled for work. So I was back and forth to Dallas all the time. I would, the job I had some travel perks with it. So I spent I've seen 45 of the states.
Oh, wow.
And so it was more job focused, right? But like in the process of doing that, did that trigger like, I really want to see more, or it was more of like work than you really experiencing travel?
Oh, no. When I say world war, I've driven from coast to coast. On multiple occasions. So my father was a city bus driver, was the last like corporate job, if you will, that he had. So driving places, that was what we do. Like wake up on, even as a teenager, once I had my driver's license, I could get up at Saturday morning early enough in Charlotte and be at the beach by noon. And that was whether it's South Carolina Beach, North Carolina Beach, Virginia Beach, that's just what we did. So I was never afraid to just hop in the car and just drive and go somewhere. And even with corporate travel, I try to tack on my vacation days right on the end so I can spend an extra day in that city and explore it. I also did with my company, there was a lot of reward travel associated with it. So if we were killing it, then hey, they were like, hey, you win a trip this year, you get to go somewhere.
That was another way that he wowed me. I think it was, we were dating, we weren't engaged.
I took you on my annual.
He had qualified for an event. It was all expenses paid, and we went to Chicago. And
nice.
That was I had been to Chicago when I was younger, when we lived in Indiana, but it was my first adult experience in Chicago and seeing the city. And
we went all out.
What time of year was it in Chicago? Because Chicago is different in the summer and in the winter. Like you get a totally different place.
Would have been August is usually when that trip was.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Summertime.
We had Cirque du Soleil outside performing for us, and street vendors. Like they would block down a part of the city. So we did Chicago, we did Phoenix. Was it Phoenix that way?
No, we did Denver. Yeah,
Chicago, Denver. I think did you go to Orlando?
I did go to Orlando.
Yeah, so we did lots of corporate trips, and I mean, and that's one of the like tips for couples. Like if you have a job that requires travel, that means you get half the trip paid for.
Yep.
Okay, and you're not going to be working the whole time. You get some downtime, and even if in these days with people working from home, pack that laptop. You work by the pool all day while I go do these meetings, and afterwards we're gonna have dinner and drinks and have some fun. So
yeah, I never really thought about that. That like prior to you and I hooking up, traveling together, my only memory of traveling is like with family. I mean, I traveled overseas. My grandmother was from London, and we had family vacations. But I don't know. I guess those early years, I wasn't really thinking that big for myself. I was really trying to figure out what was next. So.
Yeah.
So where were some of those family vacations?
I remember Grand Canyon. I remember Disneyland. I remember Grand Canyon, like having the big video camera, like on my shoulder recording type, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Road trip. with my grandparents. And I remember it must have been a small cruise to Catalina. And then when I was 15, my grandmother took me overseas and we went to London for a few weeks. And that was amazing. We would love to go back. We haven't been back. Well, I haven't been back since. Yeah.
See, I haven't been to London yet, and you was there as a kid, so you traveled.
Yes, you have more stamps.
I remember being 15 in the pub with my grandmother and my great uncle drinking in the bar.
Oh, nice. Nice. 15.
She started at 15.
She started early. So she's on red wine today, but she
Yeah.
started early with the, in the pub.
I was with the OGs.
Drinking age in England?
At that time, it was
I know
16.
in Spain there's not.
At that time, it was 16.
It was 16.
Oh, so they was letting you in.
To get in the clubs. I tried to get in the club at 15. I went with a bunch of 16-year-olds and I did not get in.
Okay. So the club, no, but the pub, yes.
Pub, I was with my granny, so.
So what is it about your travels, whether it's be individual or together, that kind of continue to inspire you to travel?
Well, I would say that I think the trip that we took to Jamaica was just outstanding. So we enjoyed that a lot. And that is, again, we had just got engaged. So it was almost like a pre-honeymoon or something, a honeymoon light. And we really enjoyed that. And me being in photography, I had a lot of fun just, kind of roaming around the island and taking photos of different things and having a beautiful subject to put into the photos all the time. So that was always, that was great. I really enjoyed that. And I think it was when we were there, then we were talking about where we would want to get married. And it kind of, part of it came down to money because we have huge families and a massive friend group. Mm-hmm. So we're thinking about, okay, wedding, the biggest cost is feeding people. We're just like, what if we were to take some of that money and just put it on a destination wedding?
Mm-hmm. And at the time we were living in California. So also the venues, I mean, the fees were the minimum's ridiculous.
I remember we looked at a few. I remember you dragging me to a few of those. I'm sorry, dragged you.
I dragged you.
I remember you escorting me to a few of those. Yeah, I need to sip on that one too. And so that was part of just, it was just continuation of our joy of just traveling together. And
and for our wedding, I think we ended up inviting almost 100 people, but we ended up having 40 guests. So it was a very intimate 3-day celebration with our closest friends and family. I mean, there were some people that couldn't make it, that we were definitely disappointed, but at the end of the day, it just came back to the reality that the people that were meant to be there with us were there. We had a great time. We heard about some of the crazy stories with our friends hooking up and all.
Oh, we got stories, y'all.
We were pretty much the first in our circle to get married.
Oh, wow.
So that's been an interesting path.
We had couples that had been together longer than us that weren't married yet. That was also, it was.
Now we did have the experience in Cabo. We stayed at an all-inclusive resort. And then for our honeymoon, we went to Costa Rica, where we stayed at a friend's
like basically a modern day Airbnb. It was Airbnb before Airbnb was B&B.
And it was great balance because when we were in Cabo, I mean, everything's served to you, full service. And then we went to Costa Rica and we got to go to the market by ourselves, kind of figure our way and learn the culture there.
Learning that when it gets dark, it's dark.
Yeah. Like you got street lights.
No, it was.
Yeah. Wow. So leave
where in Costa Rica did you guys stay? Or where'd you go to? What part of Costa Rica?
Guanacaste.
What airport is that close to? I know there are two major ones.
We did not fly into San Jose, so we must have flown into the
Liberia.
We flew into Liberia. Yep. So speaking of, just kind of the things that are different about traveling while Black.
Well, hold up.
No, I'm sorry, I took over your.
He's a flow that he's designed that he wants to.
We got a flow.
See, but that's part of that kind of gets into that. But
yeah, so let's go into it. Go ahead.
Okay.
Fine.
I'm gonna take my own sip.
You are granted permission to go off script.
I never seen so much artillery in the United States until we traveled to Mexico, Jamaica, etc., where you have a different presence of armed forces.
Oh.
Well, at the time that we went, the time that we got married, it was during the drug war. So it was definitely advised to not travel to Cabo, but did it anyhow. And then I can't remember what was going on in Jamaica at the time that we went.
No, but Costa Rica, Costa Rica, they're bordered by, y'all know the country, a country where it's a lot of unrest. I can't remember the Costa Rica borders right now.
It's Costa Rica, Nicaragua, I believe.
Nicaragua. There we go. Yes. Okay. So they're always under, periods of civil unrest. And so there were those warnings. And as we ventured, from the airport to get to our, to get to Guanacaste, there were stops where, people, they got the officers with the AKs and the whole nine. And so that was other than being in different parts of the hood growing up, where I did see the same sort of artillery, but it was kind of like, oh yeah, but that's Joe. He cool.
Right.
But it was like, wait, this guy doesn't even speak English.
Yeah.
I do, but he doesn't. I mean, so that was it was a different level of awareness, or even just the hint of fear, like, oh, this is different.
Right.
I do remember specifically in Costa Rica, I had a couple of occasions where I felt a little bit of the, let's call it pretension, if you will, that was coming from whomever I was trying to buy the goods or services from, as if I, couldn't afford whatever it is that I was intending to do.
Okay.
Because we were there was an incident at the hotel. So when we got married, my tuxedo got lost. Okay. So it was supposed to be getting steamed
on our wedding day.
It was supposed to get steamed. We'd asked for it ahead of time, whatever was part of our, things we wanted. And it got lost. And so on the wedding day, we can't find it. Okay. So then they find it and it's not steamed. And I'm livid. I'm like, how long have we been there? 3 days? I don't know.
Luckily, I didn't know any of this was going on.
Yes, you know. And so there was a conversation that happened. It's like, okay, we can do it in 1 hour. And I'm like, okay, well, my wedding's in 90 minutes. So, okay. Like, oh, but you're going to have to pay. And I'm like, no, I'm not.
Right.
You guys have had it for 3 days.
Yeah.
And so there was this, and then finally I relented and said, fine, I'll pay. And the woman looked at me and she was like, are you sure you can afford it? I'm like, we're paying for this whole thing. This is my wedding. And it was, my sister luckily was there with me. And she said, I packed my steamer, and she took my tuxedo to her room. Yeah. And that's how the grooms wound up getting dressed in her room instead of somewhere else, because she was there steaming my tuxedo for me at the last final minute. But it reminded me of, it felt like just being in the United States. And being in those situations where you go to a nice restaurant and they, or if you're in, this has happened to many of us, if you're in any of the major department stores, excuse me, do you work here? And like,
well, I do that to the opposite group of people, but that's for a particular reason. So, while we're here, right? So, like individually, have you guys, and I'm going to take it from two different lenses, right? So Johans is a Black male traveling the United States, right? You've gone 48, you said 45 or 48 out of 50?
I've been 45 out of the ones that touch the, what do they call that? Contiguous 48.
Gotcha.
Okay.
How have you felt moving around? Because we've got a couple of guests that talked about Utah a couple of times, right? But then the rest of the states are almost as bad, even New York, depending on where you go. What has that experience been like for you?
Oh man. So Utah was different for other reasons, because I did not understand the Mormon culture. And I was the big wig manager coming into Utah to do a training session. And so I didn't know that they don't drink. And so I get to the bar we go to a restaurant after the training day with all the other managers. And I start ordering all these pitchers of beer. And then I'm the only one that drinks. They got a kick out of it. It was funny to them. It wasn't funny. But that was really, other than the fact that I was very vocal about I said my opening line when I got in front of the group, I said, I have now increased the Black population by 20%. I just kind of got that out there from the beginning. They kind of chuckled about it. And then they said, no, so-and-so. And then everyone wanted to talk about the Black friend they had. Right. And I said, you're all going to name Karl Malone. It's okay. But so that was Utah. So I was able to kind of take the edge off it in Utah. But when I went from North Carolina to Texas, I drove. And my father specifically told me, now my father was born in the backwoods of North Carolina in 1939. And he told me, he said, under no circumstances do you stop in Alabama or Mississippi. Get gas in Georgia, and you don't get gas again until you get to Louisiana. I was like, or wait, I'm saying that wrong. I've got to think of it. Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi. No, I said it right. Louisiana.
Yeah, you said it right.
No, I said it right. Yep. And that's exactly what I did. I did not stop. And as I was driving along those roads, I was very easy to see why I did not need to stop.
Yeah.
They're on the highway, just Confederate flags, just boldly flying. I mean, you'd see them, you just like you drive along the highway and you'd see the big, American flag flying, you would see that and the Confederate flag. Like, nope, not stopping here. We're just going to keep going.
Right.
So I experienced a fair amount of, or I kind of avoided some of those experiences. I will say but being a traveling businessman for a corporation, I had a few instances where I was coming into a small part of our country, even if it was I think it happened to me in Michigan, one of those northern Midwestern states. It might have been Illinois. I think it was Illinois. So I came into Illinois. I can't recall the city right now, and I won't put them on blast. But I was going to go do a training for a bunch of other managers, and I'm in finance. So there were not that many Black people already. And so here I was, young and Black, and I'm the one, my company had purchased another company, and I was one of the trainers coming in to teach everybody how to do their new job. And it got to a point where it just became a game for me. But before I made it a game, the first time where it really hurt my feelings and stung is that I'm at the front of the room, the group, and there's probably about 12 to 15 older white men that come in, because those are the people that are in finance. And I finally get up and I introduce myself, and half the group walks out, and they're like, there's no way I'm taking training from you.
Oh,
nothing you can teach. What do you know? What do you know about financial planning that you can teach me?
Wow.
And they just walk out. And it hurt my feelings. I still got paid the same rate, but it did hurt my feelings. So then that's how I learned. Utah was later on. So I kind of found some ways to kind of deal with it so that my ego wasn't bruised as much. And I could.
Whatever job you need to do out there, grab the right tool to get it done. The new F-150 with an available hybrid engine and up to 7.2 kilowatts of Pro Power on board to power things on the go. It's not a tool you'll hang in a tool shed, but you can certainly use it to build one. The new 2024 Ford F-150. Tough this smart can only be called F-150.
Available starting early 2024. Optional features, the owner's manual for important operating instructions.
Life comes in waves. Give your skin a rest with Osea's newest innovation, Collagen Dream Night Cream. The first ever night cream clinically proven to reduce the effects of stress on skin. Collagen Dream Night Cream visibly improves lines, wrinkles, and signs of fatigue so you can wake up with a radiant complexion. Take your beauty sleep to the next level with clean vegan skincare from Osea. Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code DREAM at OseaMalibu.com.
Okay, here's how Miro works. See? It's amazing.
What's everyone doing at David's desk? Ever since marketing started using Miro's collaborative online whiteboard, he thinks all our other teams should sign up. Why? He says Miro's making his meetings disappear. And if every team gets on it, that means even less meetings. They're using Miro for brainstorms, mind maps, customer research.
So could we use Miro instead of having another 100 meetings for every round of feedback?
Yep. You can comment, react to ideas, even leave a recording on the board.
And what about presentations?
There are Miro templates for that.
How do you know so much about Miro?
I've actually been using it all along. I just used a Miro board to plan the best vacation.
Okay, I'm on board.
See how Miro users save up to 80 hours every year by meeting less and doing more. Get on board at Miro.com with 3 boards free forever. That's MIRO.com.
Kind of take some of the air out of the room and not let them have all the power in those situations. But I dealt with that in many different pockets of the United States. And it was hard to deal. I mean, also dealt with it even just in the traveling, just, being, whether it was the plane or sometimes in some of the places I went, I had car service. And I had to prove that I'm the person that gets the car service.
So did you find it that, I'm trying to phrase this. Did you find it that there are a lot of times that you get that, because you don't sound Black over the phone, plus your name is Johans.
Oh yeah. No, I had one person that told me, I told him, I was like, I'm Johans Harrison. And he said, no, you're not.
No, you're not.
And he told me, he said, no, you're a middle-aged German man. My response to him was like, my brother was stationed in Germany. He's Black. So could there be a Black German? Like, let's get started. Okay. And I end up having this interaction with him. His wife later apologized for that interaction and profusely told me he's not racist. I'm like, okay, say what you want, but he does stereotype. Okay, he may not be racist, but he does stereotype pretty heavily on the key.
Because I think for those of us with ambiguous name, voice, and I mean, I'm assuming, having gone to college, moved around a lot, your voice adapts to who you're talking to, right? Like,
oh yeah,
we tend to code switch without realizing
duality,
right? And so, in speaking, it's like, hey, this guy does not sound like the guy I scheduled this training with. Mm-hmm. But in actuality, you get that, and then you get the, no, that's not you. Yeah. So let's talk about.
Oh shit, he knows what he's talking about.
Exactly. And that's the best part, right? Yeah, I used to travel for work. Yeah, so I used to travel for work, and I would get that all the time. They were like, no, that's because first of all, most of them couldn't pronounce my name. And so the second of all, they were like, no, that can't be. I was like, no, you can call my manager. They'll tell you it is.
Yeah,
but
like they were.
Right.
So what was it like for you international?
So international, really the only time that I mean, the most challenging experience was the experience in at our wedding. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I haven't. Now maybe I just haven't traveled enough, but I haven't experienced it in a very negative way. Actually, I take it back. There was, as a teenager when I was younger, but then it was a group of us. So we went on a college tour. I was in a program called Upward Bound, and they would take us on these college tours while we were in high school. And so they took us to a college tour. And we went to some colleges in Canada, and we all vowed right then that we were never going to school in Canada because they treated us like we were just the inner city thugs is what we were.
Really?
And what was interesting about that, this is funny, I haven't shared this a long time. I was in French all the way through elementary into high school. It wasn't until my last 2 years of high school that I took Spanish because they didn't have French. So I had 10 years of French. Mm-hmm. So I understood what everybody was saying. Because my friends, they'd all been in public. I'd been in private school for a while. All my friends had been in public school. All they knew was Spanish. So I knew what they were saying. I was like, no, they are not saying anything nice about us. And they think we're stealing. They're going to call the police.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So that was a not fun experience that I dealt with. But again, I was younger. And as I look back on that and I see what we looked like, I might actually think the same thing. 17-year-olds with our baggy clothes, some of us with the sagging jeans and all that stuff. Cause it was the late 90s. That's what we did, you know? But we were all also 3.5 plus GPA students.
Yeah.
So the colleges, when we visited those colleges, and we were happy for the experience that they took us to Canada, because we got to go to Niagara Falls, do all that stuff. But we enjoyed the experience. But those colleges kind of made us feel like we didn't belong. So we never really got a chance to even imagine what it would be like, because we got that upfront impression from I can't even remember the name of the school we went to, and I don't want to put them on blast either, but that first school just basically was saying in French, as they're translating and saying French, it doesn't matter. None of them will ever go to our school anyways. Like,
wow. And it's surprising because it sounds like it must have been in the Toronto area, right? Especially if I went through Niagara Falls. And that area is a melting pot. So now, granted,
but we were at the colleges. Yes,
right.
Yeah.
But at the colleges,
interesting.
Wow.
No, and it was funny because after that experience, we actually told the leader of the community, we said, don't take us to the school where the person that's doing the tour isn't Black. And from that moment, actually after that, we only went to, I think all the other schools we went to were HBCUs, which took me to my first interaction with having drinks at an early age, New Orleans. New Orleans.
Oh man,
you got to go to Essence Fest.
I think it was an adult trip. They just took it. They were like, "Oh, we're gonna book
took a bunch of
Right.
kids.
They're like, let's take some kids.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We're gonna stop by Xavier and Tulane, but really here for Essence."
So I'm here to make sure we talk about couple stuff just as much as we talk about individual.
Well, we were getting to that, but
that's fine. But it's my turn to jump in.
You
I
did.
want to know when your first trip was.
We didn't get her story.
I want to know.
We didn't get her story. We got to get her story.
No. I want to know what her
Let's
first
get your
trip
story.
was.
I'm running this. You get your story.
Okay.
We want her story too, right?
So we want her to tell the story of their first trip together.
But that's jumping the gun. So let's get the story.
We done got all the way to their engagement, their wedding, their all with trips.
Okay, what was the question?
The question was, what was your, because we're speaking about traveling while Black, right? And you mentioned earlier that you come from mixed race, right? And traveling for you was kind of a little different, right? Especially going to London, being in the pub with your grandmom versus moving around. So what was your experience like? And let's put it like this. What could you remember of your experience being a Black young woman traveling?
I'm going to be honest. I don't have any necessarily negative memories, especially that my grandmother has passed. And, I got to learn so much about my grandmother's history and my history. And so the few memories I do have are with family, being in the pub. But when I think about just some of the challenges when it comes to I guess adjusting to new environments, what comes up for me is moving to Texas. It's definitely been a reality check where, you can drive up the wrong side of the road and you will see the Confederate flag. And it's just really finding a way to emerge into a new area and making sure that we're surrounding ourselves with the people that love us and respect us for who we are, and we don't necessarily have to feel isolated. And I know when we were researching areas, moving to Texas, that was something that I expressed to Johans that was very important to me. As my daughter was only 2, is I don't want her to be the only in any environment, and I want to make sure that we're moving into a neighborhood, into an area that is diverse. And I think we found that. However, driving around in Texas, like I said, the Target around the corner there, there's Trump rallies every weekend where they're hanging out there. So it's just been interesting and very eye-opening. And I think especially we moved out here pre the BLM movement, pre George Floyd, pre pandemic, and then still learning the area and then seeing just the heightened sense of deep-rooted racism here in Texas. But also finding that, there is a new wave of young Black professionals coming in, politicians. Like there is a ton of opportunity, but there's still a ton of work that needs to be done. And just finding our place in that, especially with our business and being able to make an impact, not only with professionals, but also getting into the schools and educating on finance and how we can build better, bigger.
Okay. So now I'm gonna go to the next thing, and then we can go to Jackie's thing, right? What have Johans, have you seen, or have either of you seen the way you're treated when you're together out and about when you're traveling now? Because Johans, I'm not. You seem short on camera, but I don't think you are, right?
He's coming in hot.
So it's that husky back man pulling up on you, and there's a clutching of the pearls, walking across the street. But do you see that change now that you have your wife with you, and you seem less threatening?
It depends on. It really depends on the environment and who's on the other side of the exchange. I have found that sometimes I'll get a little bit of a rougher time from older females that, and it doesn't matter, that aren't of my race, period, whether they're Hispanic, Asian descent. It is, I can be a little intimidating, I guess is what it is. And the last thing I want to see is them to disrespect Alicia. And so I'll kind of see that where they, where they're kind of not giving her the respect I think that she deserves. I'm like, hold on, wait. We are customers here. We wouldn't be here if we can't afford it. I think we went through something at, what was it, at the in Las Vegas, where we were just getting a runaround for like a room or something. What?
Oh, I remember that. Why were we trying to get a room late like that? I don't know.
Yeah.
But for some reason, yeah, we were definitely given the runaround, and there was no reason where we shouldn't have been able to get a room.
Yeah. And it was
I think it was we didn't belong there. They felt we didn't belong there.
And then when I kind of raised my voice a little bit, kind of put my foot down, and it's like, and then now we want to accommodate. And I'm like, no, I mean, it's actually, I'm going to name drop. We still do very little business with Hilton because they rubbed us the wrong way. They booked us for a room online through I was a Hilton Rewards member, thousands of points.
Oh, that's when we were in Charlotte.
Oh, Charlotte. So this is not, so Hilton, and we book a room and we get there and she claims they have no rooms. I'm like, we have a room booked. Well, I'm sorry. I was like, this is, I don't understand. And then I was told to just go get a room at the Motel 6. I'm like,
yeah, that's no bueno.
No, this says I have a room. I was like, oh, you're not handicapped. We have to keep that for the, for the handicap. I was like, the city is fully booked. No, if you book a room, you book a room.
Yeah.
And so it makes me stutter step anytime my option is Hilton. I'm just like, and I know it wasn't Hilton, the organization that did that. It was that one individual that didn't want to honor the fact that, because even when we're calling Hilton, they're like, no, sir, you have a room booked. They have availability. It's there. I was like, no, she's telling me we don't. It was this whole ordeal. So, and that was my hometown of all places. So I've found that when we get met with those obstacles, we do a good job of tag teaming. Sometimes we kind of realize, okay, he's young. You go take care of that. We'll start batting your eyes. That looks great. Go ahead. No, put on those other pants. Yeah, wear those.
Do not go that far.
I don't go that far, but it is when I'm thinking to myself. I'm like, hey, if you got to go, divert their eyes a little bit so that we can get what we want, that's fine. It's not going to work for me. And so we've kind of learned where we need to, play our roles a little bit.
Switch up. Okay, cool. Go ahead. Ask what
code switch, like you said. We got code switch a little bit.
Gotcha.
I forgot what it was. This is your show. I'm gonna just jump.
You said it. We were going into relationships.
Yeah, you said relate. You were
asking.
I heard where you were going. It's couples. What I heard you getting to is the planning of those trips. That's what it sounded like you were going.
You got a good memory. Y'all got good memory.
Yeah.
I think I was asking, what was your very first trip together?
That's what it was. Yes.
And then like, who planned the trip? How did it go?
Oh, I got a story for that.
Uh-oh.
No, it was good. It was good. It was, I mean, so our first trip that I remember, because now we've been together
sometime.
14 years, 15. A lot.
Sometime. We said 2017. Y'all do the math at home. 2007. I'm sorry, 2007. Do the math.
2017. That's young.
Yeah, no, 2007.
So the first trip that I recall, Johans wanted to take me to wine country in Northern California.
Aww.
And he had it all planned out. I'm going to drive up the coast, get to wine country, stay in a
romantic weekend
bed and breakfast. I was like, oh, he's doing it. This is
romantic.
I got me one. Well, on the drive to wine country, I ended up coming down with the flu. By the time we got there, I was bedridden for it was the whole time, 3 days.
I had to go to the couple's bed and breakfast to have breakfast without my couple.
He had to go to breakfast by himself every time and just give me the lowdown on who was down there, what was going on. It was special. And then he told me he would never take me back.
I questioned why
he was never going to take me back
every
again.
time after that. So that goes back to the early conversation about being a road warrior with my father. It was like, oh, let's drive from LA to Northern California. Let's do it. And
I ruined it.
Aww.
But I
kept having to turn the heat on and the air on and to open the window. It was just, and then I'm feeling car sick. No, you're not. You did do it. Do not do it.
I think we were able to go wine tasting the very last day.
Yeah.
I don't think I tasted much because I was still congested. But the one thing I do remember from that trip is I remember how clear the sky was because I remember seeing the stars.
Yes.
At the bed and breakfast. So yeah, I think that was I don't think we took a trip for a while after that.
So let's talk about the first memorable trip that wasn't.
That sounds memorable. I don't know about that. Maybe your favorite trip. That sounds memorable. But what was your favorite trip together?
Our favorite trip together? What was our favorite trip together?
It could be different. Each individual can have a different favorite.
I still think Chicago was like one of the most memorable trips that we had together.
So my favorite was North Carolina.
Oh.
So Alicia's grandfather. Yeah, so Alicia's grandfather passed away shortly after we got married. But before, was it before? When did we go? Yeah. So it was after my father was there. Yes. So my father, who also passed away a few years back, we had this sneaking suspicion that we might be related. So we were a little worried. So I was very interested in going to go meet her family in North Carolina, because when I told my father who she was and who her dad was and where they're from, he was like, oh yeah, I'll meet you there. We got family there too. I was like, no, Dad, that's not what you're supposed to say. But I remember sitting with her uncle. So I met lots of a lot of family that, she hadn't even met either, and pig farms and, just being a country boy, just being
in the
out,
country,
they had their own little mosquito net that they could hang out in. So that was cool.
Because they love me.
But just meeting those family. Also went and spent some time with my family and my sisters and cousins. And it was just, it reminded me of being a child in the family reunions when you meet all this family that you don't know and just hearing the stories and talking to the elders and all that other stuff. So that I really enjoyed that kind of homey feel, but we were also at the same time on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we went to the waterfall and it stormed. Is that the same trip?
That's the same trip. I almost died. That almost happened. Yeah. But we're trying to climb up to the waterfall, and I slipped on a rock and hit my head on the rock.
Ooh.
Yeah. It was scary. I was a little starry-eyed for a minute, but I was okay. I was terrified. I was
and
like,
it was dumping rain.
It dumped rain.
Mm.
I actually, you know what? Second favorite trip is New York. We went to so Alicia's father lives here in Texas. He turned 60.
60.
And
that's what came up for as you were sharing North Carolina. I was thinking of New York.
And he did a trip to New York where we went to a Yankee game and met a lot of her family, or his, well, I guess her extended family that was in New York.
Your dad drove up.
My father drove up because, again, word warrior from North Carolina. They just drive up. Like, oh, you were in New York? That's just a drive. Like, after living in LA, that just ruined my whole sense of what just a drive is. Because,
gotcha.
I don't know if you ever spent any time in LA, but Long Beach to LA could be 4 hours and it's only 30 miles. Like, what just happened? And there's stuff. But, my sister and my dad was like, oh, yeah, we'll come up to New York. And we had this huge Airbnb.
Seth got to go to.
Seth got to go. Seth also had an allergic reaction. His face exploded like a
on
Hitch. He looked like, I still have the evidence of that. That was when he was like 13. It's a scary, crazy picture. I'll share it when he's famous. But yeah, that was it. So as you're hearing this, you're probably saying that I like from growing up, I like those little road trips, those homie trips where you get to, meet some family members. And that's really why part of my reason of going to like London, going back to England, is because she has extended family there that you really only see on Facebook. Right. So to just sit and hear the old stories and meet the elders, et cetera, I like that part of, even when we do travel, I'm the person that will wind up talking to the old person that randomly that I meet on the beach that lives there, and just carry on this 2-hour conversation as they tell me, the hotel that didn't used to be there, and all that fun stuff. So I like that, the historical aspect of us traveling together.
Okay. So how about traveling with children? Because that by itself is an experience. I learned about the snack bag from a couple couples prior. So tell us what traveling with children are like.
Well, when I think about it, we haven't done much traveling together. Mira, our daughter, has traveled with me. She started traveling when she was 4 months. We went to Charlotte with her. And then thereafter, her and I traveled often. It's definitely a hustle. It's definitely, you get to strategize. And it's definitely made me more aware when I do see moms traveling alone to offer a hand, open the door, pick up a suitcase, whatever it is they need, move out the seat if they need help. Because it's definitely can be challenging and stressful. When I think about when we have traveled together, because we traveled with Seth, but he was already older. We do have a story that we're traveling with Seth.
Things not to do when traveling with children.
Things not to do is do not get off the plane for the layover and miss the plane with the child still on the plane.
Do not call Child Protective Services. Okay.
Statute of limitations have passed. You're good.
How did that happen?
So it wasn't my fault. I'll start there. So here's a tip. When you're traveling with a couple, you both, as you're traveling together, you're both responsible to look to see what time the next flight is. Okay.
The boarding time.
Especially if one of those couples wears glasses.
It wasn't.
I'm talking to you, Jackie. I'm talking to you.
Are
too.
you blaming it on her vision?
What else am I blaming it on?
It was on the ticket. It was on the ticket.
So someone confused the
departure time
with the boarding time. And so we were on a short layover.
We got off to get food
in Phoenix, and Seth was with us. He was probably 12.
And he said, I will stay.
I don't want to get off. I'll stay right here. Do I get to keep my seat? And it was Southwest. So it was like, sit wherever you want. So it was like, yeah, was it Southwest? I think it was Southwest.
I don't remember.
Anyways, stay on the plane. We'll be back. So we go to get food, and I turned to Alicia and was like, what time does our plane, what time do we need to be at the gate? And she was like, oh, we're fine, 9:30. Yeah, that was the boarding time. So
that was departing time.
That was departing time.
So we get to the gate, and they said the plane just backed out. And like, our child on that plane. Yeah. So
Wow.
No child left behind.
He didn't get left behind.
He had to call
got
us.
to go.
He called us.
He's calling us
was
from
smart enough
yeah.
to ask the person sitting next to him, "Can I use your phone? My parents aren't on the plane," and called. And luckily, we were going to Charlotte, and so his sister.
We had people that could receive him, so it was okay. I was like, "You're gonna be fine."
But it was I was sick to my stomach. Poor baby.
That was fun. That was
wow.
But I think in essence of traveling with the child period, it's just doing your best to be prepared, have those snacks,
have the movies downloaded to the iPad already.
Have your activities, new toys. If you have a toddler, having something new for them to play with that they just got introduced, because kids get tired of toys very easily.
Oh, and for those that aren't traveling with children, as Alicia said, some of these parents are traveling alone with their child or children, and the kids cry. I mean, it always frustrated me when people would get upset about a kid that was crying on the plane. It's like, I mean, if they're like 2 years old, the air pressure, all that stuff.
I do want to give a tip on that.
Okay.
So if you do have, children age 0 to 5, I would say, anytime you're departing or landing, make sure they're drinking or eating something so that their jaws are moving to avoid your ears popping. For me at the time when Amira was young, I was breastfeeding, so I'd breastfeed for takeoff and landing. If you're bottle feeding, doing the same thing. Now I make sure we have gummy bears or some type of chewy that she can have. So when we take off, I make sure we make a game out of it. As we're getting ready to take off, 1, 2, 3, let's chew on these until we're actually where we're supposed to be. But
that's a trick for some adults.
Right.
We are the couple that gets your child was so well behaved for the whole flight. I'm like, I mean, we were prepared for a flight. We do our best, but at the same time, they're kids. So
anything can happen.
Yeah. You never know. It's you got to do your best. And
also something to do, passengers out there as you're flying, if you're getting on a flight and you see that there's a child sitting behind you, if you can get good eye contact with the parent and talk to the kid, okay, that will dramatically reduce the likelihood of them kicking the crap out of your seat for the whole flight.
Yep.
They realize that there's a person up there.
Well, and tip for parents, take the kids' shoes off.
Yes.
I know
that
for
also
Amira,
reduces the blow. Yeah.
The last time we flew, she was at the perfect length where her feet were just at the back of the chair in front of her. So I took her shoes off because she was still touching it, but less likely to annoy the person in front.
Yeah, without the shoes.
So, and I'll usually just tell the person, especially with Seth, he's tall. Like that's my oldest. He's tall, so I would just tell the person from it, look, neither one of us fit back here, so forgive us. Oh, he's fine. And it was so I never really dealt with the person like, oh my God, will your kid stop kicking the seat or that sort of stuff. But it was part of that, just being people and being open, and being friendly and introducing yourself to people.
And not being embarrassed to be a parent. It saddens me when I, like you said, see people shame moms or parents because their kids are crying or upset. They're just as stressed, so you giving them the eye or huffing and puffing is not helping. If you can help.
Yeah. Agreed.
Okay. So you guys are still developing your travel journey. What's on your bucket list of places to go?
So London, I've never been to London, so I definitely want to go to London. I want to go to Paris. My mother went to Paris. I want to see if I can still parle français. At least understand what they're.
Whatever job you need to do out there, grab the right tool to get it done. The new F-150 with an available hybrid engine and up to 7.2 kilowatts of Pro Power on board to power things on the go. It's not a tool you'll hang in a tool shed, but you can certainly use it to build one. The new 2024 Ford F-150. Tough this smart can only be called F-150.
Available starting early 2024. Optional features, the owner's manual for important operating instructions.
Today, I want to talk about the hellscape that is technical diagramming, right? Everybody's nodding their heads right now. And there is a potential solution that I want to share. There was one name that several people brought up. I did some digging, and it's kind of nuts how much this program Miro has for developers. I have to share this. It could potentially be a game changer for you. So my favorite part about Miro is that half the work is already done. Like right now, typically we spend hours starting diagrams from scratch, right? Gathering information, you get buy-in from every team. Following up, that's a lot of work to do. But Miro has a full set of integrations with the tools you're probably already using. And they also offer open APIs and SDKs for custom solutions for all those niche diagramming use cases we have to do, right? So the end result is the same, but it doesn't take forever. It's a massive, massive time saver. I'm transforming basic flowcharts and network architectures, and it all lives in one place. So are you using Miro? Have you used it? I want to hear.
Saying, I would say there is nothing that's not on my bucket list. Eventually I want to go and see it all.
I'd love to go visit Greece. That would be fun.
Yeah, I think the biggest
Puerto Rico,
which is, so her father's Puerto Rican, so so we've got island family we haven't met yet. I'd say the biggest bucket list item for me personally is to own property internationally. I want to be, with a company like ours, I can work wherever I have internet. So I think about actually we're already talking about this now. We want to buy our next property that we purchase will be in Los Angeles so that we can get the hell out of Texas when it's 100 degrees in the summers and just go spend the summers in LA. And then when we're not there, rent it out, whatever, and just collect some income off of it. But that will be our summer house. And I got internet. I can keep working. Mm-hmm. So the idea is, okay, get something in LA, and then sometime in the next 3 to 5 years after that, it'll be looking internationally. So it'll be one of these islands. But I think that the nearest term bucket list is Hawaii. We have a good friend that just bought a property in Hawaii. So we told her we'd go, paint her bathroom or something, whatever she needs.
Okay.
And we didn't have the best time in Turks and Caicos. But it was so beautiful. So we need to go back. And it has more to do with just we were working on some things.
Yeah, we didn't like each other during that
as long
chapter
as we
of our
have.
lives.
You go through these periods where
still together.
Still, yeah, somehow.
Y'all survive a pandemic, so y'all good.
Exactly. So those are like some of the more near terms. Like, okay, we got to go and redeem Turks and Caicos. It was far too be acting so ugly.
Did you redo Wine Country?
Oh yeah, we did many times over. We had some.
I had to wait though.
She did. And even on the way there, I was still like, "You okay? Are you sure?"
Well, he probably had a better car this time, where like you can control your side of the car.
No, I was in my Range Rover.
We were not in the range. We were not.
We were not in the range for the first one. I was still in the Camry. I was still in the Camry.
So Peyton's right. You had an upgraded vehicle, different experience.
Camry gave you the flu. That's what you had, the Camry flu.
You couldn't have, in the Range, you got individual seating, warmers, cooling,
it's just a different
all
experience.
Of that. You upgraded to
More
upgrade her
legroom,
experience. I've
business
upgraded her a
class.
couple of times.
Oh yeah.
TSA, global entry.
Yeah.
I had to put that on her. I was like,
look, our first trip, I told her, like, look, I might leave you on that line. She's like,
exactly.
If I don't get TSA,
leave me in line.
I told her if she does not get her TSA, I was like, you will stay in line. I will take the child with us.
Well, and that's a great tip for parents too. Get that pre-check, because especially if you have a child, you don't want to be waiting in line.
You want to take the shoes off, have the kid take the shoes off. It's a pain. No, just
and it's one of those things where, depending on how you travel. So Johan's talked about traveling for work, right? That certain credit cards give you those perks of paying for a global entry. It's $100 for 5 years, and you get global entry and TSA pre-check all in one. So
that global entry is clutch.
Less than 5 minutes coming back into the States.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't ask for anything better than that.
So we went through our share of searches for, I think
we came back from Cabo for our wedding. We had a bunch. I think I had to get rid of. We had like cake. We had rent.
Yeah, we didn't get to bring our wedding cake back. Yeah. So, actually, we saved a small. We had a bigger chunk of it. They let us keep a small chunk of it. They were like, no food, and we were like,
no food.
It had to be packaged. You couldn't take any. Yeah.
Okay. So we just talked about the pandemic, right? We all survived the pandemic. What is the new norm for you guys now? Like, what does that look like? Because a lot of us were locked down. Some of us are still locked down 2 years later. How is it looking for you guys now that outside's open? For some places like Texas, it never closed, right? Especially being between Fort Worth and Dallas, right? What does it look like for you guys now?
Yeah, what's changed? What's your new normal?
I feel like we're still
adjusting.
We're still defining our new
yeah.
norm, especially it's top of the year. And
so we did manage during the pandemic to take a couple of trips. So Alicia went to LA once with Amira. So that worked out.
That was late October. So that was in between. That was
before Delta.
No, I think that was after
Delta, before Omicron. It's amazing we define our lives by
that's really crazy.
Yeah.
We traveled to Vegas. Unfortunately, we had a death in the family. Traveled to Vegas. That was right before Delta.
I went to Carolina for a game, see my family. So we've managed to escape out a little bit. I mean, we do want to create what a new norm is. I mean, we're fine with wearing masks and, so Alicia's actually the type that was making me wash my hands with Purell to touch a shopping cart 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to laugh at her like, yeah, that's silly. I mean, you're gonna wash your hands before you touch the orange juice, everything else. And now it's like, okay, she was right.
Well, what's interesting is I was going to bring that up when we were talking about traveling with kids, because I used to
she wiped down the
everything
whole seat
pre-pandemic, and so then all this, I'm like, well, that was what I was doing anyway, making sure.
Yeah.
Because kids, they just touch everything and then it goes right in their mouth.
I remember sitting on a plane and I would go to do the little seat thing. She'd slap my hand and give me a wipe to wipe it down.
Wipe it.
And I'm like,
head of the game.
Hey, look, that's sometimes you need a great woman to keep you on point. You know what I mean?
She was the one with the flu, though. That was her.
You had to bring that up.
That's that California air. It gets
that's what. Yeah. No, it was the Camry air. It was the Camry. Now I realize it was the Camry. Now I see.
We blame it on the Camry.
You didn't change the air vent, the air filter on the Camry on the way up.
It just wasn't as luxurious.
But you redeemed yourself with the range. Pulled up on wine country. And they ain't look at you twice because you pulled up in the range instead of the camera.
Yeah, we did
all around.
We tried to do wine country almost every year, I think, for a little while there.
What the last trip that I remember was going for our birthday, and that was Amira was a year, and we went for a staycation for the weekend. We rented a little cottage on a winery.
Road. Yeah, I remember
it was
that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And took some pictures with the range. I remember when we talked.
So she remembered the range part of the trips, not the Camry. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with Toyota. We got to start from somewhere. I had a Civic for about 5 or 6 years until I decided I needed to upgrade it to a Pilot. So, I'm still not range level, but I upgraded a little bit.
You did.
But just like y'all did a real good bounce back for the Napa trip, I'm looking forward to your Turks and Caicos do-over.
Yeah. No, that one needs a good do-over. Yeah, that one.
Well, if you're looking for another couple to travel to Turks and Caicos with, I mean,
you want to do a double date trip.
I was gonna jump into this anyway because we kind of skip parts. Since you're a financial advisor, you could probably provide us some advice on how to prepare for that trip, right? But before we get to that, we were talking. You guys gave a lot of context for traveling as individuals with children. If you could sum up, let's say 5 important tips for travelers, couples with children, what would they be?
Well, first thing I would say is to plan ahead. Every top of the year, Johans and I sit down together and we map out our travel for that year. To make sure that we take the time off so that we can plan accordingly, as well as save accordingly.
And with traveling with kids, it's part of that planning ahead. Sometimes you need some help, depending on where you're going. You might need, some of the other families. They're like, okay, we're coming to your city. Yes, we're bringing the family, but hey, we want to have a night out. Okay. I mean, we did that coming here to Texas, bringing Amira with us before we lived here. It was like, and all right, granddad, you get to babysit tonight. She'll sleep. Don't worry about it. We're going out. Okay. So just, yeah. So as you said, planning ahead. I would say the other one is traveling with children. You have to plan activities for the child. You just do. You got to figure out what you're going to do.
They don't get on your nerves otherwise.
They are.
If it's all adult activities.
I mean, even if you're going to Disney, you can't just go to Disney. There's no such thing. You will go crazy, especially with children. You got to plan. Okay, which park are we going to? I mean, even if you go to Disneyland, there's 3 different parks. Eventually, 3 parks. Anyway, there's different parks in Florida. I think there's 5. Okay, so you really got to plan ahead of what you're going to do, and we would, even with Amira and with our son, we would tell them ahead of time, this is the plan. This was going to happen.
Yes, even kids like to know what's going on. As much as we want to figure it all out, we're the grown-ups. Kids like to know because they also get anxious when change is happening or the unknown is happening. So being able to educate them and include them on the conversation so that they know too what goes into travel. There's planning, there's coordinating, there's the financial aspect of it.
Yeah, we did some great. I forgot it. We didn't even talk about the kids trip. We took many trips to Legoland and SeaWorld and stuff like that when we lived in California. And those take some planning. Even going to Disneyland around the corner, it takes a little bit of planning, especially with kids.
And money.
And money. And we'll get to the financial part. But I would say I mentioned it earlier. If you know you're going to be on a long flight, whatever tablet, whatever you're using, download the movie. Okay. Don't count on the plane having Wi-Fi or even their TVs working. Not just the movie, download a few of them. Because when you ask your kid what movie you want them to download, they're going to tell you their favorite movie right then. A week later, they might have already watched that movie 10 times. And it's not going to hold their attention. And I think, and Alicia had a great one. I didn't even notice you did this, but it makes perfect sense. Amira would always have a new toy every time we were getting on the plane to go somewhere. So it would be something new that she hasn't played with yet before, so could get at least a little bit of love. But yeah, I would say those are so plan ahead. Also plan your activities, not just plan ahead. Okay, when are we going to travel? Okay, when we travel, what are we going to do? Having things for them to do in the downtime is important. And just knowing who your other people are that can help you out so that while you're adults, if you can go get some time out. And that was one thing about those corporate trips. We had a lot of people that came on we didn't ever do it, but they would bring their kids because they had childcare available for the kids. So there were so many couples. We went out with some of those couples and they were like, oh, this is our first time being out in 2 years. We've been saving up for this. And they had a built-in babysitter. Yeah. And those kids also had activities they could do during the day while we're doing all the adult stuff. So, yeah, it's like Alicia said, kids get anxious and that's how they say that, the idle mind is the devil's playground. Yeah.
Yep. Kids. And so what are some pandemic tips that you would give for travelers? Because we're still in we got Omari Delta Cron. We got cold.
I just wanted to add, Florida. I was waiting for Johans to finish.
She said she was waiting for me to shut up. That's what she said.
He has
Go ahead.
Many views. As far as tips for traveling, is plan some downtime before and after. So allowing yourself that transition time to get home, unpack, get yourself ready for the new week, especially if you got kids in school, giving them downtime so you're not rushing back midnight the night before and then trying to start your week the next morning. We've learned that the hard way because then you're just kind of behind or dragging for the rest of the week. Then you're, that I need a vacation for my vacation. Whereas if you would have planned to have, at least half a day getting home ahead of your week starting, and then also being sure to hydrate. Lots of water to and from to prevent any jet lag or just any lag from that travel to keep your immune system going. But then going into, you were asking about pandemic travel.
Number one, if you are listening to this and you are in the United States, order your free test. Free. Go order them. Don't wait. Order them. We already ordered ours. They're still not even here yet, are they?
Yeah, I ordered them probably 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
But they said it'd be a while. So.
Go order your test.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you can have your test. Order mask. Okay. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're the type of person feel like you don't have to wear a mask, then fine, then don't. But most of the airplanes are going to make you wear one. Don't be the person who causes the airplane to get turned around. So
when we travel with the KN95 mask. They have kids KN95 mask. My daughter knows her travel mask. When I get on the plane, this is the mask that I wear. She prefers the cloth mask, but I let her know when we travel, this is the mask that you have to wear. Again, just educating them, enrolling them, getting them excited about it, because it's something that we got to do to get through this safely.
And then from a financial standpoint, as it comes to the pandemic, everything's just going to cost more. And we just have to, that is the system that we've designed on this crazy thing that we invented called money. And money is dictated by supply and demand factors. And we have a lot of pent up demand, and we have more people that want to stay in someone else's home so they don't have to deal with the people of a hotel. So they have a high demand for Airbnb. But you also just have demands. You have the hotels, and you have, even in hotels, are dealing with lack of staff. So they can't even really open up the entire hotel the way they want to.
Right.
So demand is going to cause prices to go up. So it goes back to our first tip, which is plan ahead.
And be nice to the workers and those that are showing up, even because they are shorthanded. Trust that they're doing their best, and just be happy that there is someone there to help you, even if you got to be patient.
Oh yeah. We experienced that. Where were we going? We were going to Florida. No, we were going somewhere. I can't remember where we were going. Very recent. We left super early just to because our flight got canceled or rescheduled.
We went to Atlanta early this year.
And I was like, you know what? Let's get there super early, and maybe we could talk to somebody at the front desk.
Yeah, they canceled our flight. So it was New Year's Day. It was the day before New Year's Eve. And they sent us a cancellation for our flight. And they booked us on a flight hours later with a layover. So we were going to really cut it close to midnight.
And she's not a fan of layovers. So
definitely not on New Year's Eve.
So what I ended up doing is walking up to the counter. Jackie took a step back, right? I walked up to the counter. I was like,
there was a black woman.
Right. It was an older lady.
But he has the right charm.
Right. I was like,
for an older black woman.
I was like, look.
Similar to you pimping your lovely wife out with wear the right pants for the young male clerk.
So I walked up. I was like, I understand our flight was canceled and booked for a later flight, but is there anything that you can do to help us out? Here are our passports. Here's our boarding passes. What is it? If there is anything that you can do. She's like, after 20 or 30 minutes or so, she was like, you know what? I'm going to send you.
Not even 10 minutes.
Whatever, my time is off.
He was charming her.
She sent us.
No time. She was
gave us a voucher to catch a cab from Newark International to JFK and got us on a flight from JFK to Atlanta. So definitely being nice to the staff at the airport, the staff, even when you get to the ticket counter, you got to be nice because they can make sure you don't get on that plane.
Right.
So, but it's common decency. I think we forget that they're working and that they have lives and they have things that's
a lot of people right now are overworked.
Right.
Hospitality.
Yeah.
We got to make sure we're being respectful and taking care of them.
So with that said, we kind of jumped around a little bit, but tell us what you guys do, right? This is the opportunity that we really like to give people to kind of promote what they're doing. So if you guys can tell us what you guys do, and then where people can find you.
Well, let's start with something else that's coming up soon. Jackie, plug. So the business we have is financial planning organization. So we promote financial literacy and helping people just make better financial decisions overall. And we have launching here next month our latest edition of the Money Date, which is a way for individuals and couples to have more open and honest conversations about money, to sit down and plan. Okay, here's how we want to travel. Here's how we're going to plan to get there. And that was the tip that I left out.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a vacation fund, start one.
Mm-hmm.
Vacation fund.
Start a vacation fund.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that you're not, so you're not doing other things to make it happen when it gets there and then paying for it later. Start a vacation fund. We are promoting the money date. You can learn more about the money date at our website, which is mymoneyscript.com. You can actually download your own free copy there. And again, it just helps individuals to have a better conversation about their values and their goals, and then getting your financial behavior in alignment with those values and goals. So if you're someone that likes to travel, sometimes you may have to ask yourself, what do you want more? Is it Chick-fil-A or Turks and Caicos? Because the way your money is set up, you can't do both. You can't go to Chick-fil-A every week and think you're going to have enough to go to Turks and Caicos. So you got to have some of those tough conversations. So I am CEO of MoneyScript Wealth Management. I'm the financial advisor. So I'm the one who actually interacts with clients one-on-one. Alicia is what's your title now? Vice President of Operations. Oh. She got titles. Vice President of Operations.
Right, power couple.
Hey, look, I'm telling you right now, I and to all of my clients that are listening, I would not be here for you if it weren't for this wonderful woman here. She was the one that pushed me out of the bed one day and said, what are you scared of? Just start your own company.
Wow.
And that day I was like, I don't know what I'm scared of anymore. Okay, I'll do it. And so here we are. And she's the one to make sure everybody gets paid, and she's helped grow the company and build the organization and make sure that we are continuing to operate inside of our own values and growing our team, et cetera. And the money date is actually that's her baby.
I get to do a lot of the creative stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
so that's
also life insurance.
And life insurance as well. So the whole money date concept was her coming to me because we were dating, then engaged and shacking up for a little while, and then got married, and then bringing the finances together. And I had the income that just kind of goes up and down, and she had the more consistent income. So she got tired of asking questions after the fact. Like, so how are we going to do this? She was like, can we just have like a date where we just talk about money, like a money date? And they began. And we were having money dates, and they evolved over time to where we can have some money dates are okay, let's plan out our year. Some
where
money
I
dates
wasn't having a money date to be like, what did you spend this on?
I will admit, I'm okay to say to y'all, I'm not allowed to use a joint account. I'm just not. I have to announce if I'm using the joint account. Mm-hmm. I have to get, it's not, I don't like to call it permission.
That's how we run our household. So
I agree 100%.
I don't call it permission. I just make an announcement. Try to make
nobody said anything about permission. And I think that's important, right? And just full transparency, Johan's advises us, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we both came to understanding is, where we are financially. I think you helped us a lot with that. But even in our future state of where we're going, we've already had the conversation of, okay, how are we opening up a joint account? Yeah. What are we going to put in there? How are we going to, manage things? And not just the joint account for all the bills, but a travel joint account. Because as you already know, I got a travel fund, right? And I don't worry about travel because every check, X amount of dollars come out and I'm ready to go. And I'm not saying that's new for her, but she's coming from, she's also transitioned from where she was career-wise to where she is now. And so now it's a little different, right? And so she was just,
I used to ride around and get it.
She was just like,
spend the money. You want me on a trip next month?
All right, let's go. Ride around and get it.
Going from corporate America to now the nonprofit sector has made me a lot more conscious about how I spend my money.
And I mean, Johan's helps in that too.
Hold on, let me tell you, I was the ride around and get it. She was the planner. And I had the income that was like multiples of hers, but I was riding around to get it.
And one getting nothing.
I got a Range Rover.
You just get a bunch of toys like the Range Rover.
that comes from some other financial pains that I went through, but we had to grow through it. But that's the amazing thing about being a couple, working through and having those open, honest conversations about money, because you can look to couples that don't make it and you will find money on the list of the reasons.
Yeah.
And if it's not a precursor, and there's a lot of therapists will share this with you, the people that study relationships, it may be the catalyst that leads to the insecurity that shows up as something else. Just because you're not having those conversations.
Right.
And so we want people to, because at the end of the day, you want to, if you love someone, you want to be with them, you want to be financially independent. I won't say retire, because I don't like that word, but you want to be financially independent with that person, which means you want to be able to travel as much as you want. That's going to cost some money. Y'all you got to figure it out.
And some coordinating and communication.
Exactly.
Sacrifice.
Yep.
So tell us about this recession-proof merch you got going on. I see you rocking.
I was. I forgot your cameras are on. So on our website at mymoneyscript.com, you can get your own recession-proof gear. Recession-proof is about you making your economy, your microeconomy, your household recession-proof, so that no matter what is happening in the macro economy around you, you know that you have a cash reserve so you can get through any downturn in your income. You know that you are protecting yourself when it comes to having auto insurance, health insurance, life insurance. So if something happens, it's there. And you knowing that you're growing your assets for the long term so that recessions don't hurt you. You're recession proof. So
nice.
Got the gear there. Go check it out. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for the plug. See, he's a shameless plugger there. I love that.
I'm just trying to make sure we promote black.
I think it's shameless.
We try to make sure we
promote. I think it's shameless.
Shameful. It's shameful. It's shameful.
No,
we're not worried.
We're
about
not
it.
ashamed of it.
Not ashamed. Yeah.
Not ashamed. Not ashamed.
So promote the event.
I was going to ask. So I don't know the timing of this episode because we're doing the money date.
We can talk about it. We can talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so this is going to be a pretty long series. We got quite a few couples that we interviewed, about 20 couples. So it's going to be released around Valentine's Day, the closest Tuesday. Airing. We're still recording.
Yep.
We're still recording, but the first one is going to be released in proximity to Valentine's Day on a Tuesday, and then we'll release them weekly thereafter.
Beautiful. So if you're hearing this after Valentine's Day, we have the Black Love where we're bringing the money date
on February 26th.
February 26th. So if you're hearing this after 26th, then you need to go to Jackie's page and find out about the Black Love event that we did, because we're bringing the money date to everybody and it's going to be incredible. We're going to have people going to be making love and making money. It's going to be beautiful.
Yes. I mean, that's what we all want.
Listen,
make love and make money.
For those of you listening only, you're missing an amazing experience.
He's getting the side eye.
That's because her glass is empty. That's what happened.
Things.
That's what it's the Black Love.
Well, leave us with some words of wisdom, whether it be travel, financial, dealing with children. Tell our audience, what are some things that you think, is important to know about travel, finances, and love?
And how can they find you?
Well, I think Johan's already mentioned it, and it's really what we talk about a lot in our family, with our team, with our clients. It's first defining your values individually and as couples, so that as you are making plans to travel, as you're discussing your finances, as you're raising your children, you have values and a common language to come back to, because challenges are going to come up. Outsiders are going to challenge you and your beliefs, and having that set of core values to come back to is always going to help you keep your foundation strong, help you keep the communication strong, and really help you to be more clear on what matters most to you when it comes to travel and the sacrifice that you need to make, or when it comes to being in a relationship and raising a family.
Well put. I will leave you with, in the idea of planning and tracking, if something is important to you, you will track it. So if you were trying to get a flight, or you're trying to figure out when your flight's going to land, you're going to do it. You're going to track, okay, when's the flight landing? When's it going to be? When do I need to be at the airport? You're going to track because it's important. I'm not going to be late picking Jackie up from the airport because she will not be happy about it. So things that are important, you track. So if money, travel, freedom, if those things are important to you, you're going to have to come up with a system to track how you're on pace to get those things that you want. If it's not important, don't track it. Don't worry about it because it's probably not going to happen as much as you want. But if it is important, come up with a way to track it. Get some help, find some systems so you can be more in tune to have those conversations, especially if you're trying to do it with a family.
Yeah.
Nobody wants Vegas vacations. They're fun to watch. National Lampoons, that stuff. Yeah, those are funny, but nobody wants to really live through that. They don't.
Yeah.
So you got to come and track. So you can find. Did I say something? You leaned in.
You can find us.
Oh, we'll do it in her voice. It's so much.
You can find us at moneyscriptwealth.com if you're interested in learning more about our financial services. You can also find us at mymoneyscript.com if you want to purchase our recession-proof gear, listen to our podcast, The Money Script. We're also available on iTunes,
all of them,
Spotify,
if they have
all the
a
platforms.
Podcast, you can find it. Yes.
We're also on Instagram at The Money Script. Follow us for daily tips and inspiration when it comes to managing your finances. Yes.
That's us.
That's it.
Sounds like a plan. Well, thank you both for jumping on.
If it's real love that you want, I'll show you that and then some. So come on.